Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Chamberlain, the Air Force guy, RV extraordinaire, coming to today to do a walkthrough to kind of show you what you should expect the day that you pick up your RV. Now today I'm going to be doing, it's a travel trailer. This is Spree Connect, but most of the things I'm going to be going over will convey to whether you're buying a pop-up travel trailer, fifth wheel, motorhome, truck camper. A lot of the same things are on all different RVs. So hopefully you find this helpful. Any questions, by all means, my contact information will be down below. Feel free to shoot me an email, give me a call or whatever. But let's get on to this walkthrough. So the first thing that I talk about when you're going to be going camping and using your RV is when you get to your campsite. Before you start leveling yourself side to side and so forth, you want to check to make sure that your electric's going to be able to reach where you're going to be plugging it in, your water hose is going to reach, and your sewer hose. Make sure those all are able to be connected. At that point, what you want to do while you're still connected to your truck, you want to make sure that you're level side to side. You do so by putting something under your tires, whether you're going to back it over, 2x12s, that's what I recommend, pressure treated 2x12s, or whether you use the building blocks that you can purchase. It makes it very convenient if you wanted to do that. A couple other ways you can do it, but basically you want to make sure you're level side to side if in fact you don't have a leveling system. Obviously if you have a leveling system, things would be a little bit easier. But when you're typically dealing with something where you just have stabilizers, keep in mind that's all they are, is stabilizers. They are not levelers. So you level side to side first, then you're going to go ahead and you want to make sure you chalk your tires. And I recommend chalking them on both sides. I will have kind of a campsite setup checklist listed below my video to kind of help you out if you're missing or if you don't want to take notes at this point. I'll have that down below the video. But I recommend you chalking both sides of your RV, disconnect from your vehicle, and then that's when you want to go ahead and level front to back. Now at that point what you want to be doing is you're going to want to be putting your stabilizers down. Remember that they are just stabilizers. They are not levelers. So I recommend that you put 6x6s underneath these. That'll give you a better base and you won't have to put them down as far. The other thing you can do is you can buy yourself a 3/4 inch socket that'll fit into your screw gun, and you could use that. But they go down very, very simple. Like I say, all you want to do, just get them to where they touch. Once they touch, 2 or 3 turns, and you will be stable. Like I say, you're going to have 4 of these. You're going to have 1 on each corner. You're going to want to make sure you put each of those down. These stabilizers, along with you chalking your tires properly, will keep you from having movement while you're camping. Now something else I recommend that you do on a regular basis is the threads on this stabilizers. Make sure that you're lubricating them on a monthly basis or a regular basis. You will be glad that you did. Now the next thing you're going to be doing after you put your stabilizers down, you're going to want to be connecting your water hose, your sewer hose, and your electric. Now I highly recommend that you connect your electric before you put your slide outs out. I'll explain that in just a minute. Now in this particular one, this is a 50 amp cord. Now when you're putting these things, some people have the ones that pull out, others are going to have the ones like this where they screw on. You're going to twist them on. So this is a 50 amp cord. Now of course I have the adapter going from 50 to 30. But to put this on, this is kind of like the same thing as it's in the boat industry, is you want to put it on here, twist it, and then lock it down. Now the nice thing on this particular one, you'll see a blue light here, and you also have a blue light on your other end of your electrical cord here. Now on this particular camper, your city water connection is up here. Now when you're hooking up your water, here's the way you should be hooking it up. You should be getting a pressure regulator, water pressure regulator. You want to connect that to the spigot. From there, what I recommend, whether you have a whole house water filter or not, I highly recommend you get an inline water filter. and you put that, so you have the water pressure regulator, then you put your water filter, and then you put your hose. The reason why you're putting your water pressure regulator at the water spigot is because you don't want to overpressurize either the water filter or your water hose. The other thing is, you don't want to be putting your water filter connected at this end like you see in some pictures, because that is additional weight coming off of here. So we recommend, again, water pressure regulator, water filter, and then your water hose. Now if you want to go one step further, you can get a little 90-degree elbow, put it on here, and then connect your water hose to that. Next, you're going to be putting your sewer hose on. Now in this particular one, the sewer hose connects down here, and all you're going to do is then you're going to put that in the hole where you need to. Sometimes you're supposed to have that donut. Now some people get those grading type system for their sewer hose. You know, and to each their own if you want to get that. Some campgrounds you're going to see that you're going to be going uphill, so it's not even necessary. But for the most part, after you're done emptying everything, you're going to end up lifting the hose and walking. So in my estimation, it's just an extra piece of work that you've got to do. And obviously if you have less work, it makes it a little bit more fun. So now let me talk to you about draining your water, your black tank and your gray tank. So now when you're done camping, or that you notice your tanks are full, what you're going to do is you're going to open the black tank handle first. Now you'll always be able to tell which one's, well, I say most of the time, you're going to be able to tell which one is black, which one's gray, because the black is going to have a larger pipe, whereas the gray is going to have the smaller pipe. Something else you might want to consider adding to here is another valve, so that way there, when you go to open this thing up, and you're going to want to have some gloves when you're doing this, medical gloves types, is add another valve here to keep things shut, to keep things from coming down. The last thing you want to do is you come out here, you open this, and you're going to have stuff from the black tank coming down into here. It gets kind of messy. But you open the black tank first, and you let that dump. Now it's best if you put a little clear elbow here, or a clear type of a plastic here before your sewer hose, so that this way here you're going to be able to tell when your black tank is rinsed free, or is rinsed good. On this particular camper, you have a black tank rinse, and if your camper does not have one of these, for the most part, they're very easy to install. And what you would do is, after you've emptied your black tank, you leave that valve open. You're going to connect a garden hose to here. That is going to rinse out the black tank. Now the next thing I tell you to do, and it's contrary to what is told you here, and you've got to be very careful with this. I tell you to close the black tank valve. This will allow water to fill up into your black tank. Now when doing this, if you decide to do it this way, please stay on task, because if you get sidetracked and do something else, one of two bad things are going to happen. The worst of the two is going to be that if the seal on your toilet is not sealing properly, you're going to have it back up into your camper. That's going to be a pretty bad mess. But let's say that you lucked out. The seal on your toilet is working. Well, that's fine. At least you're not going to have that mess in your camper. However, because there is a vent tube for the black tank that goes up onto the roof, you will have that pressure send everything up through that pressure, through that vent tube, and you'll have everything coming down over the roof and down the sides of your camper. And you know what kind of mess they say that is. But so stay on task. And the way you do that is on the inside, where you can check your levels. You just stand there and wait until it's about 2/3 full. Then you come out and you pull the lever. Now, because you have that clear piece on your sewer hose, you can tell if you need to rinse your black tank again. Now, when you're done that and you're good to go there, what I tell you to do is throw a little bit of water in the black tank and shut it off. That way there you're going to be set for the next time you go camping. All you do is at that point go in, throw some chemical down through the toilet. As you tow it home, and the next time you're towing to the campground, it's going to be sloshing around in there and keeping your tank clean. And it also will keep the odors down that are coming up into your camper. Now let me show you what you do after you have your black tank rinsed. Okay, so now you've rinsed out the black tank. Now what you have is the gray tank. You pull this lever and let that rinse through your sewer hose. That is going to be all your sink water and shower water. Now for some of you, you might have two of these. You might end up having two areas where you need to dump. One might be a gray tank just for the kitchen. If that's the case, you can get yourself a Y or just switch the hoses. For some people, if you're going to be doing extended camping, you can leave this gray tank lever open the entire time until you feel that you're going to need to empty the black tank, maybe a day or two before. Close this to make sure you have enough water in the gray tank to rinse through your hose. Now, keep in mind that you're typically going to have an outside shower, which this one was backed by the black tank rinse, to help you rinse things up and clean up and so forth. But that is how you empty your tanks. Now, in the event that you were dry camping and you filled your freshwater tank, the freshwater dump is going to be right here. The nice thing, it doesn't matter what camper you're looking at, wherever you're filling your freshwater tank with the manual fill, typically on that side right up underneath or very close to that area is going to be your freshwater dump. So that is right here for the freshwater. The other thing, you're going to have low point drains on your camper. And let me show you where those are on this camper. Now on this particular camper, on the Spree Connect, your low point drains are on the door side, and most of them are going to be marked. You're going to have blue and red. Blue being the cold, red being the hot. And these just have little valves. You just open them up. Now something I recommend that you do when you're camping is when you're done camping, make sure that you shut your water heater off, run water to make sure that the water is cool in the water heater, and then disconnect your hose. Now what you want to do is pull the plug out of your water heater, just set it inside here. Some of you might have the anti-rod, some might just have the plastic if it's an Atwood water heater. Just set them inside here, open your low point drains. If you have low point drains that have the caps on them, again, set those in the water heater door area. When you tow it home, when you get home, put everything back together. That way there you don't have stagnant water inside your camping lines in between trips, and you're not going to have that stench or that grimy water next time you go camping. Okay, so now you have all that done. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put your slide out. But what you want to do is you always want to check to make sure that there is nothing in the way. The quick and simple way to figure out if you have something close, if you will stand up at your camper, if you'll put your arm against the camper and then look, if there's nothing inside your shoulder area, even with your deep slides, you have plenty of room. So if I stand here and I'm able to look down, I know that I have plenty of room to put the slide out and I'm not going to hit anything. Now there are a couple things you need to understand about slide outs. Is you need to go ahead and make sure you lubricate it. Now this is the old-fashioned style. This is where it has all the mechanisms down below. And what you want to do is, on a monthly basis, you want to lubricate that. So you're going to need somebody inside while it's going in. You're spraying some type of lubricant, whether it's silicone, WD-40, something along those lines, lithium grease, something to lubricate these slide-out mechanisms. They want to be exercised. Even if you're living in the camper, in a campground, I would recommend that on a monthly basis you go ahead and exercise those slide outs and lubricate them. You'll be glad you did on that. The other thing you want to make sure you do, and I've seen people do this, do not ever put some supports up underneath these slide outs. These manufacturers build these slide outs to sustain the weight of people in here, and I want you to just comprehend this. Let's say you have your stabilizers down, you put some type of stabilizing mechanism underneath the slide out. Your stabilizers on the ends of your camper go ahead and sink for whatever reason. And these didn't. What did you just do? You just kinked your slide out, now you're going to have a problem putting it in. So do not ever, do I recommend you put anything under there. I know you get people telling you different, but I'm telling you, save yourself the headache and don't do it. After you put your slide outs out, also come out here and check your rubber seals and make sure that they're out the way they're supposed to. Make sure they're not tucked in. If they're tucked in and it starts raining, it's just going to be directing water directly into your camper. The other thing is every 6 months, so in the spring and the fall, make sure that you're conditioning those seals to keep them from getting hard and so forth. After you condition them, if you wanted to go ahead and put some baby powder or something on them to keep them from sticking against your slide out, you can do that. So that is the slide outs. Now for some of you, you might decide that you want to have slide toppers on the roof, and that's fine. Keep in mind that over time you will have to replace the fabric for those slide outs because they will get sloppy, they'll end up ripping when it's windy and so forth. If you do not have slide toppers, and even if you do have slide toppers, I would still recommend you do this, is if you're in an area where debris is falling down on top of your slide, make sure you get up here and look across the top of the slide out and brush anything off before you bring that slide out back in. Now up on the front, on the off-door side, this is where you're going to have all your, of course you're going to have your VIN, you're going to have your tire information, and this is important to know. So if you want to know, what pressure your tire should be, that's all going to be right here. This is also going to give you your gross vehicle weight rating, your cargo carrying capacity, and if you subtract the cargo from your gross, that's going to give you your unloaded vehicle weight rating. Now let's talk to you about your LP tanks. Your LP tanks, they are set up, if you have some type of mechanism in between with this lever that slides back and forth, you have what is considered automatic switchover for your LP system. Now why is that important? It allows you to, if the event, in the event that one tank runs out, it's going to automatically switch over to the other tank. So that way there in the middle of the night, if you have the furnace running, you're not running out of heat. You don't have to come out here and change things. And I know there's some people that tell you just open one tank and do it that way. I'm telling you, if you do it the proper way, you will know when you're out of propane in a tank, and you will never run out. You're not going to ever have to get up in the middle of the night to come out here and turn another tank on or whatever. Now here's the way it works with automatic switchover tanks. Whatever tank this lever is pointing to, that is the tank it is reading. That is not the tank that it necessarily is pulling the LP from. And the reason why I say that is this system is set up as such, the first tank that you open is the tank it pulls the LP from. So what you want to do is, you want to go ahead and open this tank first. Now when you're opening these tanks here, you want to make sure that you open them slowly. And if you've had them shut off for a while, you're going to look in this area here, on this particular one, you're going to see it's red. When you open it up and it has LP on it, then this one will go clear. On others, it will be red or green. Now, once this one is open, then what you'll do is then you'd open this one. And again, you want to make sure that you open these things slowly. Now, every time you go camping, what you're going to want to do is check this at the end of your camping trip and see, did it go red? If it hasn't gone red, you know there's still propane in it. If you want to know how much propane is in a tank, all you do is you dump hot water on the tank, you'll get a frost line. So the reason why it's important that you open the one it's pointing to first is if you consistently open this one first and open this one second, but this is pointing to this tank, what's going to happen is it's reading this tank. But what's going to happen is when this tank goes empty, it'll automatically switch here. Once this tank goes empty, you have no LP. So that is why it's imperative that you open up the tank that this thing is pointing to first when you're opening your tanks. Now what you do then is you're going to go inside your camper and you're going to want to light the stovetop burners, and that'll pull the LP through the system up until that point. And you do that before you turn on any propane appliance. Now, if at the end of your trip you look at this and it's saying it's red, that means this tank's empty, no problem. You just take this lever, switch it over to this tank. When you go home, you shut the tanks off, take this tank, fill it, put it back on. The next time you go camping, you open this tank first. It's that simple. You'll never run out of propane. Now for your LP cover, make sure that when you put it on that this flap is opening to the front. You don't want the wind catching it. And then you also want to make sure that you have it secured down. It has these little knobs on here and tighten it down. One other thing to keep this thing from coming off, there's a bungee cord that should be coming with it. And what you want to do, when this thing is on the bottom there, you want to take this bungee cord and connect it underneath to these two tabs, and this will keep this coming off as you go down the road. Now on this Spree Connect, You also have a little toy lock here. Nice thing with that is that if you have any bikes, maybe even a dog or a pet, whatever, you can use that to secure them for this area. So that pulls out, has a lock on it, and it'll keep things safe for you. Now up front on the door side, you also have, this is a Furrion solar charger connection port. If in fact you want to do some dry camping and you want to extend your camping, I'd recommend you put 2 batteries on there and then get yourself some solar panels that you can connect to this to give you extended capabilities for 12 volt. Now up in the front here, notice how the door goes up and it's a magnet that holds it, but in here you have a light switch so you can actually see what's going in here, and also there's a light switch for those blue lights that you saw on the front. So this is your pass-through storage. Now on your door side, what you're going to have, you're basically going to have a vent over top of the stove top that you can go ahead and open that up in order to have air coming out when you want to ventilate some air. This is also where your water heater is going to be, direct spark ignition. You're also going to have, in the event that you'd want to watch TV on this side, you have a cable connection and 110. So now you can set a TV here. If you wanted to mount one to the sidewall, you could always have something done there for you as well. Now putting out the awning, this is it's a manual awning in the sense that you've got to push a button. So as you can see with the awning out, it's basically going to be a water collection point, and that is not something you want. Now I like the way this thing sets up for adjustments. All you're going to do is you're just going to pull down in this area, and you can see how it pulls it down. Now if you wanted to just pull it down on this side, that may be enough, it may not be, but you also have the back side to pull it down. Now you can be assured that you're going to have the water running off of your awning. The next thing I recommend you do is that if you would get yourself like a ratchet strap or something and ratchet it over top of here and hold this thing down. Last thing you want to have happen is a gust of wind comes along and throws it up on the roof. Now on this particular one, this also has controls right here where you can control it being in to go out, bring it back in. Also has a wind sensor. You can unlock it and lock it at this point as well as inside. Now, in the event that you want to go ahead and hang some lights from here, you have this little track right here where you can slide some holders in here so that you can go ahead and put some lights. They also make screens that you can put off of here. The nice thing with those screens is that you can see out, but as people are walking by your campsite, they can't see you sitting back behind here. So that's where you put that. And if it's lights, you just run the extension cord down your arms, and you have your 110 outlet up underneath of your awning here. Now most RVs are going to have these outside stereo speakers. As you can see, these ones here, they're lighting up blue. Some of them are going to be up high, some of them are down low. And most of your campers are going to have Bluetooth stereos. So while you're sitting out here, you can adjust your music, adjust the volume and so forth. But that's what you have on the outside here for your outside viewing or listening pleasures. Now the nice thing about having this kind of an adjustment on your awnings, when you go to put them away, you don't have to do anything. You can leave them like that. Even if you only have one side that you've adjusted, you can leave them there for when the awning goes away, they will adjust themselves. Okay, so now in order to put your steps in, what I'd recommend you do is wipe them off the best you can. And in the event that it's raining heavily, I'd highly recommend that you put some towels or something in here to catch the water, because you're not going to be able to get in the camper when these steps are in here. The nice thing with these steps is that they do have adjustable legs, and it gives you a solid step as you're going in your camper. You're not shaking the camper is all. These things set right nicely up in there. You want to be careful when you put these up. Do not slam them up too hard, because they will go past the frame and they are a bear to get back out. But that's how it closes up in there, and then you're just able to close your door and you're good to go. Another nice thing with this door is that the screen is patented, but this screen will automatically close. And the door is a friction hinge, so the wind's not going to be catching it and slamming that thing or taking it out of your hands like some of the others. So now you're coming in out of the camper, you have the screen door, it'll automatically close for you. Nice little feature for this particular one. For you putting your steps out, what you're going to do is you pull this out, and then if you need to adjust your steps, all you're going to be doing is you pull these pins. You can see you have a lot of different elevations that you can get this so that it is level for you when you put it out. There's your step. Now as you come in the door, you're going to notice a nice big grab handle. So the first thing you're going to do when you come in your camper is, of course, you're going to want to put your slide out, and there's where for your awning and your slide out, and then you have some lights switches up here, and you can tell when you have a couple of them on. So what you have, this is for the inside. This will be for a light that is above your slide out, and then of course you're going to have your awning light will be the last one. So that is right there. So the first thing I'd recommend you do when you come in the camper, what I'm doing with my customers, is I ask them before I really go over anything too much, I'll show them the switches when we come in the door, but then I'll ask them to open every cabinet door and every drawer to make sure that they're satisfied with how they're working. This is a very critical part of the walkthrough, and the reason why we do things the way we do here is if in fact we do find anything, that gives our technicians an opportunity to correct anything while we do the rest of the paperwork and your parts walkthrough, and of course we have the hit show through we go through with you as well. So we have time to go ahead and correct any minor issues that might come up from time to time. Now the other thing we're going to have all the remotes for you available for the show through. You're going to have one for the stereo system. If you do indeed have a fireplace, you're going to have one for the fireplace in most cases, and then of course for your TV. Now to program your TV, what you're going to want to do, now we're inside a building so it's really not going to work, but typically if we're outside, I'll go ahead and we'll turn on the antenna booster, and I'll show you how to program the TV. Next, what I'm going to be doing is taking you through and show you how the DVD player works. We're going to be dropping a DVD in here to show you how that works. And then, of course, with the stereo system, we're going to go through, show you how to turn on the radio, how to adjust the different areas for speakers, and as well as setting up your Bluetooth. Now, for the Bluetooth on this particular one, let me show you how that works. Okay, so when you're turning on the stereo, turn it on. Then, of course, you're going to have stereo speakers. You're going to have inside and outside stereo speakers. I have them to the outside right now. But now to go ahead and program it for your Bluetooth, this is the Furrion. You turn it to... you hit the Bluetooth there, and then you're going to want to go to settings on your phone. And at that point, you're going to go ahead and open your Bluetooth, and you're going to be looking for something that comes up. Now, in this particular one, and I just click on that. Now, for some of these stereos that when you're putting in your Bluetooth, it's going to ask for a pin. The pin is 4 zeros. And then you just click pair. You're going to notice that it pairs. And here it says link OK. Now you're able to, when you're outside, you're able to control things. Now what I tell you to do is turn the volume up here. So that way there you can control the volume on your phone. And then you just control the volume on your phone. You turn this up loud here, and then you can adjust it here. Makes it very, very nice. Now this particular one has a fireplace. And this is electric, but it will actually throw off heat. So you have, your remote. You can use your remote, or you can use the buttons right here. So as you see, looking pretty fancy there, right? Now you go ahead and set. See how it changes colors. So you have different colors you can put it to. You have 1, 2, and 3. Next thing you have a timer. You can set it for 30 minutes, all the way up to 5 hours. Then of course you're going to have your temperature, which you can starts at 65, goes all the way up to 95. And you can just set that, and it'll actually work. It'll really heat up this room. So that is the fireplace. Okay, so the refrigerator on this one, this is going to be a 12-volt refrigerator. And you're going to be able to, it's very simple to turn on. You're just going to have a dial inside the refrigerator, and then you have in the freezer, you have a connection, a temperature control there. Benefit to you here is that you're not going to have to worry about having propane on while you're running down the road, and it'll keep going as you're driving, because your vehicle is going to be charging the battery to let this thing operate. So now let me show you the stovetop and oven. Now this is the Furrion oven with a stovetop, and you see you have little blue lights that you can turn on, kind of be like nice little night lights if you want. And then to use this, you're just going to get the glass out of the way. Nice thing with that, that gives you a nice additional counter space when you're not using it. Now you do have a striker over here that's going to light the burners up top. It'll also light the burners in the oven. which is, or the pilot I should say, in the oven. And all you're going to do, make sure that when you're lighting it, regardless of what stovetop you have, make sure that you only turn this knob clockwise. If you do turn it counterclockwise, it will break. Now for those of you with little kids, you go ahead and pull these things off and store them out of the way if you wanted to. But all you're going to do is you turn it in and then you light it. Remember I told you that before you would light any propane appliance, you would go ahead and light these 3 burners. That would allow you to fill the LP lines with LP, get rid of the air, less chance of you having a misfire. And that would be typically for your water heater in this particular one, or your furnace. Now of course I showed you where the vent is on the outside, and you just got to pull the thing out so that you can vent it to the outside. And it does have a light to give you additional light. Then of course you have your microwave above there. It's that simple. Now for your sink, now in the event that you're doing this show through in the summer months, or through the spring, through the fall, before they winterize, you're going to have water in the system. You're going to go ahead and be able to turn a water pump on and be able to show you how this stuff works. Now here at Beckley's, the way we do things, our lot is already winterized. However, when we sell a unit, they're going to bring it inside. We're going to put water in the system to check everything, and then we're going to re-winterize. So when we do the walkthrough, we're not going to be able to show you the water system, but this has lessened the issues that we have coming into the spring by like 90% as far as with water issues. But you'd want to go ahead and run the faucet, make sure that you're not having any leaking issues in the drains. That is all part of the walkthrough. Okay, so nice thing in this particular one is where your breaker box is. This is going to be your fuses and your breakers. And the lights, most of the companies are doing a pretty good job with this. They have things labeled already for you, so you know what is going where. So you know if you have a problem here, you'll be able to fix it pretty easy. Same thing with your 110. If a breaker throws, you know exactly where you get to it. It's not like it's under the bed where you can't see it. Makes it much, much more convenient. Okay, something else that you'd want to do is, with all your windows, pull the blinds down, put them back up, and also check your windows. And then, of course, if you have a sleeper sofa, you're going to want to go ahead and check out the sleeper sofa. Now, this particular one, all you're going to do is you're going to take off the cushions. This is a tri-fold sofa, and these cushions can go back in place here once you open the bed. So if you wanted to sit up against it, kind of watch TV, you could do that. So you see how this is opening? Opens quite nicely. And then this drops down here. And there's your sofa bed. Makes it nice and comfortable. You're still going to be able to get in and out, but keep in mind on this particular floor plan that you're going to have a door in the master bedroom as well. So to put it away, we're just going to be doing the opposite. Just going to put that up there. This folds up. Bend them back in. They drop down in there. As you can see, this one's not secured on that. So you can pull it around. It makes it nice and easy for you to get underneath it to clean it and so forth. Once it's back there, you're back in business. It's that simple. The other thing I would have you do also is sit in your recliners, or even on your sofa if you have another sofa here. But recliners, make sure that they are reclining, and also break down the dinette, make that a bed just to make sure that that works. I did have one RV that the table actually did not fit in between the dinette booth. The dinette was actually put too far apart. So that is critical that you go ahead and test that while you're doing your walkthrough. Now your thermostat is in this particular area, and what you're going to do is very simple to control this one. This is the Coleman Mach. All you're going to do is you push it to heat. If you want to be on heat, set your thermostat, it's going to run. That is using 12 volt with LP to heat the camper. If you're going to be putting it on air conditioner, you're going to take the thing, put it to cool, and then there's a fan switch on the opposite side. I would tell you to run the fan in the on position, either low or high, and the reason for that is that way there, when the compressor goes off, you're still going to have air circulation in the camper. when a compressor goes off, it's off 5 to 7 minutes. And in hot weather, you're going to get pretty stuffy in here. By continuing the fan running, you're not going to hear when the compressor goes off. You really won't hear it when it comes back on. But more importantly, you're going to have air circulation. It's pulling the warm air into the AC, taking it across the coils, which are still cold, and putting some cool air back in the camper. Now, every camper is going to have a smoke detector. This one's right here in the middle. But you're also going to have a carbon monoxide LP leak detector somewhere as well. Sometimes they're combination, sometimes they're separate. Now, the LP leak detector, in this particular one, sitting right here. And one thing I tell people, in the event that that were to go off, and I just use as an example, let's say the middle of the night, first thing you want to do when you get up is open a door. The reason why you open a door is LP is heavier than air, and that allows it to go out. Next thing you're going to want to do, if you smell LP, you're going to want to check to see if by chance one of these burners were left on, or the oven. If they were, just shut that off. There was the culprit, not a big deal. Just air it out, push the button, it'll mute it, and you're good to go. Now, in the event that one of these is not on and you smell it, you smell LP, do not get your lighter and go looking for the leak. You have an LP leak somewhere, and it's best that you just go shut the LP tanks off and have somebody do a leak test for that. Now, keep in mind that these LP leak detectors are very sensitive. So if you're spraying any aerosols, that could set it off. Also, for those of you that might have a dog, and your dog is laying there next to it, and if they let one loose, that could set it off, but I think you'd know the difference. So that's a little bit about the LP leak detector. Now, on your air conditioner, in this particular one, and you might have this on your other one as well, is they have these, what they call these quick cool features. Nice thing with this is that you get to the campground and you set up, you turn the AC on, and what I'd recommend you do is when you first get there, if it's really, really hot, just turn the fan on and let it circulate air. Let some heat get out of here. If you have a power vent fan in the bathroom, turn that on, let it pull some of the heat out of here. After you've let that go for, maybe 5-10 minutes, then turn on your AC. If you want to cool this area off quick, what you do is you open this, and what it's going to do, it's taking majority of the air away from your vents, your ducts throughout your camper, and it's going to dump it right into this area, cool this area a little bit quicker for you. Once you've gotten to that point, then you go ahead and shut these off, and now it's setting it back out to the ducts. This is where you're going to be cleaning your AC filters. They're up right in here. You take these out. I would recommend you do this after every camping trip. Pull these out, clean them out, let them dry, and put them back in. It's very, very simple, and you'll be glad you do it because the more you keep these clean, the less issues you're going to have on your air conditioner. Now, something else I go over with my customers when we're doing this is I talk about your pre-camping checklist prior to you actually going camping, getting yourself ready to go camping. For those of you that are lucky enough to be able to store this at your home, and if you're plugging it in, now if you're plugging it in, whether you have a 50 amp, 30 amp camper, it doesn't matter, but if you're reducing it all the way down to 15, and what I mean by that, if you're plugging it into a regular household outlet, that's going to be 15 or 20 amps. Now, when you do so, there are a couple things you do not want to run when you do that, because you don't know how much amperage is available, and the last thing you want to do is be running things, and if it doesn't throw a breaker and you don't have enough amps available, you're just going to damage your equipment. So my recommendation is you do not run your air conditioner. You do not run the electric side of the water heater. You do not run the microwave when you're plugged into that outlet at your home. But that allows you to get yourself ready. For most of you, you're going to have the RV fridge, meaning you're going to want to turn it on, I tell you, go ahead, plug it in on Wednesday because you're leaving on Friday. So you want to go ahead, same thing with this one, turn it on Wednesday. Thursday, you're going to put things cold and things that are frozen inside of it. Now, if you want to hook up water to your camper just to check to make sure that you don't have any leaks, just in case you need to tighten something up, that's a good way of doing that. And then on Thursday, you get everything packed in here. Friday, you get yourself hooked up, disconnect. Now, for those of you that have the RV fridge where you have it set to automatic, what you're going to want to do is light the burners on your stove, make sure the LP bottles are open, and light the burners first, disconnect the electric, put the cord away, and you come back in and check your refrigerator to make sure that it's switched over properly. If the check light did not come on, then you're good to go. Now, for those of you that have that RV fridge, remember that if you're running with that refrigerator down the road, if you have to stop for fuel, that is an open flame. Make sure somebody shuts it off before you pull up to the pump. After you pull away from the pump, you can turn that thing back on. You'd be glad you did. Fuel vapors and an open flame, they just don't mix very well. Now, in the bathroom, what I like to share with people is, of course, now if you have this kind of a glass door, or even any type of glass door that has some type of thing holding it, this is something rubber. What I tell you to do is carry some extra rubber bands and so forth. You can put them on here as well, because I'll guarantee you this is going to break at some point. Typically when it's cooler out is when you're going to run into the issue. But now the other thing is, when you're looking at your shower, most campers have this set up this way. And let me just show you what I do here. I take this thing from here and I get it out of this little connection point here. That is something that the Recreational Vehicle Association requires them to do, so there's not cross-contamination. The problem with that is if it falls out of that while you're towing it, it's going to be swinging in here, whereas if you just take it out of there, you're able to set it down there, it's going to lay right down into the shower, not going to be an issue. So that's something on the shower side of things that I recommend. The other thing is, down at the bottom where the walls go over top of the shower pan, I do not recommend that you use any type of sealant along that, because you will notice that that wall it moves, but the nice thing is that wall is coming down and the shower pan's going up behind it, so it's not going to create an issue, and it's better not to have that sealant there, because over time with sealant there, it's going to crack, get pulled away, water's going to get behind it. That's where you're going to have more issues. Now, this is where you're going to be turning on your water heater, as well as checking your levels. And of course, you have a GFI reset for 110. So I tell you that if you're plugging into some type of outlet, whether it be outside, inside, and it is not working, the first thing you do is check this GFI, reset it as needed. If that's not the issue, then of course you're going to check your breakers or the breakers on the pole. Now, you can tell if you're not getting power if you look at the microwave. You can always look up at the microwave and see if you do actually have power, and then it just might be a breaker somewhere down in your breaker panel. So that's it. And of course, you're going to want to check your sink in here. Also, as I mentioned, you're going to be checking your cabinets. Now, most of these are going to come with some type of chemical for your toilet. And what I tell people is there's two types of chemicals for your toilet. You have killers and feeders. If you have children or any pets, my recommendation is, and my recommendation flat out is, that you use what is called Pure Power. It is a feeder. Killers is a poison, feeders are not. If for some reason you spilled the feeder on the ground and Fido licked it up, Fido's not going to like the taste, probably won't do it again, but they're not going to get sick, versus if you're using a killer. Now, a killer is going to have formaldehyde in it, and what happens is when you use formaldehyde over a long period, extensive period of time, what happens is that is leaching into the plastic in your tank. And so a feeder, if you go to use a feeder, unless you rinse that tank out real good, a feeder will not work until that tank is rinsed through properly. Another thing that they do is they're going to go ahead and give you, most manufacturers do this, they're going to give you a toilet paper holder. In the event you want that installed, they ship it loosely, because not everybody wants it installed. Maybe there's not a good place for it, but if you do, that is something that we can do for you. So that's when you come into the bathroom, things you need to check. Now let's talk about the toilet. Now with your toilet, what you're going to want to do is, this one is a porcelain toilet, okay, instead of plastic, and then of course this one has the foot pedal lever. What you want to do is you always want to keep water in the toilet bowl. That's going to keep the seal from getting hard, and it's also going to go ahead and keep the odors from coming back up. Now what you want to do is to prime your black tank, you're going to go ahead and want to fill the toilet bowl up about halfway by just pushing down the pedal very slightly. Dump that in the tank. You do it a second time, put your chemical in, dump it, and do it a third time and put it in. Now you're ready to use it. And then, as I talked to you on the outside, after you drain your black tank, what you're able to do from that standpoint is you want to go ahead and put some water in the tank and then just throw some chemical in there, so as you're going home, it will keep the tank clean. Now, for those of you that have vents in the floor, something I recommend you do is go to Home Depot, Lowe's, something like that, and get some screen material, and you take these plastic pieces off it here, cut a piece of screen to go nice and neatly under here, staple it down along the edges, and put this back down on here. The benefit to you there is that as you're camping, debris and stuff's going to get in there, but it's going to be very easy for you to vacuum them out. Now in the bedroom, you're going to want to go ahead again, check the cabinets, check your lights, make sure everything's working, and the windows and so forth. Then of course you'll be able to see where you put a TV if you can in here. Now in some manufacturers, in some of the campers, depending on the size, you might have a sticker like this in your vent in the bedroom. And what that's telling you, because we do have a 50 amp, this is wired and framed for a second AC if you wanted to put one in here. The benefit of having a second AC in the bedroom is that as you have these doors closed, you have a warm air return in this room. So this is the bedroom. And of course there's storage up underneath the bed, and you're going to have 110 outlets on either side. Then of course you can see you have the pocket door going into the bathroom there, and you have your door to get out. One thing I failed to show you in the bathroom, kind of tight quarters here with this, is that you do have this little storage area so you can put some towels and so forth in here. You also have your power vent fan. Now, this particular power vent fan, the nice thing with this, and you can upgrade it to the bigger one if you wish to, but the benefit of this particular fan is that you don't have to have a window open to use it. So, makes it very beneficial, and you're able to use that when you run the shower. And earlier I showed you where you're going to be turning your water pump on, your water heater. So you have both gas and electric on the water heater. And what I tell you to do is, when you get to the campground, turn it on electric. Make sure that first, before you turn on electric, open a hot spigot. Make sure that it'll spit and sputter till it's full. Once it's full with water, then you can turn it on. If you turn the electric side of the water heater on before water's in it, within a few seconds, you will burn the electric element up. So be sure you be careful with that. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 291 Spree Connect. And I did a walkthrough with this one. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Hopefully you're able to use that on your particular trailers. For more information on this camper, any other camper, or questions about setting up or breaking down your camper, by all means, just reach out to me. Be more than happy to try and answer your questions. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back at you again soon. Take care.